This is the easiest pumpkin pie that anybody can make. Even if you've never baked before, you can make this. I personally do not like when people talk a lot before they get into a recipe. So if that's you, just go to the description and skip to a different timestamp of what you need. This video is really made with beginners in mind because when I was first learning to cook, I made pumpkin pie. I was so proud of it. And I brought it to a family member and he was so rude about it. Oh, you use canned pumpkin puree? Like, I go get my own pumpkin and make it. Okay, whatever. And I stayed out of the kitchen for several months after that because I was so discouraged. I don't want that to be you. I want you to be confident and comfortable. And I also want to say, making a pumpkin pie with canned pumpkin is still a homemade pumpkin pie. Don't let anybody get you down. But I want to encourage you that you can make it. Just watch the video, pause when you need to, go do the thing and come back and pause and whatever. It is a custard pie though, so it does have some little nuances and little things that make it a little tricky. But as long as you follow the time to cook it, you should be just fine. Because we're using canned pumpkin puree and sweetened condensed milk, it's really hard to mess it up. The top shouldn't be cracked. The only time I crack it is if I like accidentally put in the foil in it or whatever, and even if so, it doesn't matter how it looks. So I just want to encourage you. This is such an easy recipe. Just pause the video, go do the thing, pause the video, go do the thing. If you want to see the written recipe, download the free holiday guide in the description. It also has 11 other holiday recipes that are easy for beginners. You'll be able to look at the recipe, take it to the store with you. So I encourage you to download that before you start watching this video. Since this is made for beginners, I'll first show what will happen and then we'll go over it with a video. I encourage you to watch the video all the way through before starting. You can always go to a specific timestamp in the caption. Okay, let's get started. These are the ingredients that you will need. You can screenshot this or download the companion guide with the recipe. You will need one 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. Make sure it says 100% pure pumpkin and not pumpkin pie mix. Next, you'll want one 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. This is super delicious. After you're done, you can scrape the insides and make some coffee. Super great. Next, you want pumpkin pie spice. I like organic from Sprouts, Trader Joe's. They also sell it at Walmart. You can get it anywhere. Whatever salt you use, I like to use Redmond's. Then you're going to need 4 eggs. 3 of them will be yolks and 1 will be the full egg. Then cinnamon, whichever one you use. Vanilla, pure vanilla. Make sure it's pure vanilla, not imitation vanilla. And then you're going to want a pie crust. Make sure it's a deep dish pie crust, not the traditional like I have in this video. Totally mess that one up. Okay, let's get started. But first, preheat the oven to 425 and take out your pie crust from the freezer. Okay, let's make the filling. To do that, first you're going to mix the eggs and pumpkin puree, add the rest of the ingredients, and then pour that into the pie crust. I would recommend getting out 3 bowls. 1 will be used for trash. That way you don't have to walk back and forth to the trash. The recipe calls for 3 egg yolks and 1 egg. So you're going to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. Crack it open and then just move the egg yolk from one side of the shell to the other, just like you see me doing here. You'll have to do this really carefully so that you don't get the egg yolk into the egg whites. Then put that into a separate bowl. Keep the egg whites for later. So you'll add 3 egg yolks to a bowl and 1 full egg. Make sure you keep those egg whites for later. Add the can of pumpkin and then mix. I'm using just a spatula here, but you can use a whisk. I just wanted to use something that everybody would have on hand. Make sure you mix until this is well incorporated. So it'll probably take you about 2 to 3 minutes to mix this. Once that's all done, then you're going to add all of the rest of your ingredients. I separated these out to show you, but you don't have to put things in different containers. I would just measure it straight from, like, say, the spice jar or the salt. Okay, so you're going to add 1 teaspoon vanilla, half a teaspoon of salt, 3 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm always bothered in recipe videos when they leave stuff, and look how I left this. I'm so bothered by that. Now you'll add your sweetened condensed milk. Try to scrape out as much as you can from the can. Whatever's left, like I said, make a coffee. You will love it. Okay, so here you really need to mix well. Everything needs to be fully incorporated. And most importantly, the spices need to be mixed well. Otherwise, when your pumpkin pie is done, you'll have streaks of brown throughout, which is not very appealing. So what I do is I will find a chunk and squish it on the side so that it gets incorporated. Now we are going to pre-bake the pie crust. This is often called blind baking or par baking. This is a really important step because pumpkin pie is a custard pie, and sometimes if you don't pre-bake the pie crust, it will come out soggy. So we'll make sure the pie crust is at room temperature, poke it with a fork, apply a thin layer of egg wash, and bake for 7 minutes. Make sure it's at room temperature, take a fork and kind of just stab all the way in the middle and on the sides. Then you're going to spread the egg whites that you saved earlier all around the pie crust. If you don't have a tool to do it, just use your hands or a paper towel. Then you'll bake it for 7 minutes. The goal is not to fully cook it, just to get the process started. So you'll want it to be a little bit golden brown. Now you'll add the pie filling into the pie crust and it's ready to get baked. The baking part is really important. You do not want to overcook it or undercook it. Because pumpkin pie is a custard pie, it will not look done at the end. So first you'll bake it at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. You'll lower the temperature to 350 and bake for 30 more minutes. You'll want to make sure that you tent with foil so it doesn't burn, and you'll take it out when it jiggles like jello. I'll show you how to do that now. To tent it, take a piece of foil and put a crease in the middle and set it on the edges. This is helpful so the crust doesn't get too dark while the pie is still cooking. Sometimes the foil might touch the top and will leave a little mark. It's okay. The pumpkin pie is done when it jiggles like jello, not wiggles like water. This is wiggling like water. You want it to be more like this, where the center jiggles like jello. This was a little overbaked actually, so I would take it out a few seconds before this. You can also put a knife in the side of the pie just to see if it comes out with these moist crumbs. It's really important to let it cool completely. So let it cool for at least 1 hour. After it's cool, then you can refrigerate it. So this is the pumpkin pie right out of the oven. The crust should be golden brown and the center should jiggle like jello. You have to let it fully cool so that it can continue cooking. If you cut into it too soon, like it shows here, it will not firm up in the middle. Okay, so we made our pumpkin pie. If you end up making it, please let me know in the comments how it turned out. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have questions, somebody else probably has the same question. There's no question that's silly or dumb or too small. So let me know in the comment and I'll be happy to answer. Please like and subscribe. I'll be putting out more beginner-friendly cooking videos. All right, friends, happy cooking.